Hey kids! It's Mr. Fly here, hope you're well, and welcome back to the channel for another bike review. Today, expect chaos because I'm on an absolute nutter machine. This is the Ducati Hypermotard 698 Mono. Stick around and stay tuned, I'll tell you what I think of it. Okay folks, welcome back to the channel for another bike review, and pretty excited to ride this machine, I have to say. It's a bike in a category that I'm not usually associated with. I've ridden very few Supermoto type bikes in my life. In fact, I can count them on 3 fingers. This plus the Honda CRF 250M I rode about 8 years ago doesn't really count because it's way low powered and not in the same league as this. And then about 6 years ago I was recently reminded that I rode the Husqvarna 701 Supermoto, which I absolutely loved, actually, looking back at my review. So I've only got those to compare this with, and this, as I say, is an absolute beast. It's in another league really. It won't be very beasty through here because it's a 20-mile-an-hour zone, but this is the most powerful single cylinder motorcycle Ducati has ever made. The engine is basically half that out of the Panigale 1299. They've stuffed it into this Supermoto style body and made an absolute cracking fun hoot bike that I'm only going to scratch the surface of today because it's a bit damp underfoot, but I couldn't wait to get out and show it to you. Anyway, talking about showing it to you, let's have a quick look over the bike. Well, won't you just look at this little puppy? Absolutely delightful looking thing, I think. When you ride it, it feels quite big because it's so tall, but when you actually look at it, it looks quite tiny. But what a thing of beauty. It's a Ducati, of course, so you've got all that exotica, but I think it looks lovely. This is the RVE, as you can see, and it's got this fancy sort of blocky paint scheme, which I think really suits it. Something else which I really love about it, if I just turn the ignition on, is the running light on here. Hopefully you can see that today. It's quite a bright day, but nice shape to that, really like that. Got this little tiny front wheel which gives it that Supermoto look, and I really like what they've done on this version with the paint on the wheels as well, with that little red sort of third. Same on the back, and you've got this lovely sort of brushed look to the swing arm, which I think looks really lovely. I always love underseat pipes. I just think that looks fantastic, and I love how they've got Ducati written on the back there as well. That big old seat just looks like a funster, doesn't it? It's just a lovely looking machine in my eyes. I mean, completely different to a sport bike or cruiser or anything else like that, but I don't know, there's something about these Supermoto style machines that just appeal to me. I know they're not to everyone's taste, but yeah, I think this is the best one I've seen yet. Really nice work, Ducati, on the looks, but then Ducati always get it right, don't they? Right, let's get back on, ride some more. Alright, welcome back aboard, folks. I'm going to head up on my usual test circuit and do the usual sort of test, of course, on the bike. But it does urge you to be a hooligan the whole time. I hope the mic on this camera is going to pick up some of the engine noises, because it does sound absolutely epic, particularly once you get the revs up a little bit. As you can see, it's a bit of a damp old day under tyre. It's not very warm either, so I've got it in road mode, and that's where she's going to stay for this ride. And I'm going to have to be a bit careful because these roads are as slippery as they get, which is a bit of a shame that I tend to get these hooligan bikes in the winter. Really, this is a summer fun machine. But anyway, there we go. So let's go through all the usual aspects then, starting off with, and this is a ridiculous thing even to discuss on a bike like this, but comfort. Well, I had a look at the seat on this when I first got it, gave it a tap and thought, goodness me, that is a hard seat. And it is indeed hard. But I have to say, you know what, when you sit on it, it's not that uncomfortable. It's perfectly alright. And it being a Supermoto style bike, it's very long. You can move forward and back. If you're a tall geezer, you'll be absolutely fine on here. Or if you're a normal sized person like me, I'm 5'8" with a 32-inch leg, then yeah, it's absolutely fine in terms of space. Your legs are tucked up in a slightly acute angle, and handlebars are nice and wide, but you are sat upright, and it's a very comfortable place to be. You could ride this all day long, no problem at all. You're not tipped forward, there's no weight on your wrist or anything like that. It's yeah, it's a very nice place to be. Top marks for comfort. Oh god, this thing just eggs you on all the time. It's superb. Boy, loving it. I can see why my mate Chopsy loves Supermoto so much, and I don't know why I haven't ridden them more, because they are just an absolute riot. It's a bit slippy around here. Take it easy, Andy. Way, there she goes. This one is the RVE, which is the one with a fancy paint job, and it does look really, really nice actually. The fit and finish on it, as you saw, is beautiful. Also means this comes with the quick shifter as standard, which seems to work really nicely. Gearbox on here is fine, and that quick shifter works a treat. Let's just come down the box. Yeah, she's good, she's good. Nothing wrong with the gears. And then nothing behind me. These brakes on here, whoa, quite a lot of fork dive, as you'd expect. Oh, stalled it. But my word, they work well. The power off the line on this single is just amazing. Torque is fantastic as you wind her up, as you'd expect. Alrighty, let's come down here. This is my little suspension testing area. Of course, these bikes have their roots in off-road machines, so lots of suspension travel, and you would expect them to eat up the bumps fine. This is my favourite suspension testing road. I'm going purposely up the really bumpy bit, and yeah, it's fine, you know, it's absolutely fine. It's really nice actually. A bit blinding with the sun. I'm not complaining about that though. You know what, it's a pretty plush ride. Very, very nice. I was a bit worried it being a big old thumper that it was going to be really vibraty, and yes, there are some vibrations, but Ducati have done an amazing job at masking them out. They're not in any way bad, they're just fun. They remind you you're on a motorcycle. I used to have a CRF 250, which again is not completely incomparable, other than it was a single cylinder motorcycle, and that was a lot more thumpy than this is. They've done a really nice job smoothing out the vibes on this. Such a shame it's not a dry day, because this just wants to be chucked about, I tell you. Even I turn into a bit of a hooligan. Who would have thought putting some non-knobblies on basically an enduro bike makes such a fun road machine? But it does. You can get some termy pipes for this, which up the power. I think as standard it's something like 79 brake horsepower, and then you put the pipes on, it takes it up to 85, which, believe you me, is more than enough for this sort of caper. Alright, talking about numbers, let me just whiz you through the rest of the specs. Alrighty, let's start with that engine then. The Supermoto 659cc, as I say, basically half a 1299 Panigale engine. It's super square, meaning that the bore is bigger than the stroke, and that is in fact Ducati's first single cylinder engine for 50 years, and I believe it's the most powerful single you can currently buy on the market. 85 brake horsepower if you have the termy pipes, 77.5 brake horsepower with the standard pipe. Brakes on the front, you've got this single 330mm disc with a Brembo caliper. Absolutely amazing stopping power on this. Those are M4.32 calipers. On the rear, a 245mm disc with a Brembo single piston caliper. Suspension on the front, fully adjustable Marzocchi 45mm upside down forks. And on the back, you've got a Sachs monoshock, which is also fully adjustable. Seat height on here is 904mm, so giraffes only need apply. The weight of this bike, 151 kilograms. Now, I don't actually know if that's the wet weight, but what I can tell you is it does feel very, very light, and I love that about the bike. You're not going to be hooliganing it too long, because the tank capacity on here is 12 litres, so not a lot of fuel on board, but enough for a lot of fun. Electronics wise, now this dash may look very, very simple, but it hides the fact that this has got basically Panigale level electronics on it. It's got 4 riding modes, 4 level wheelie control, 4 levels of ABS and traction control, engine braking, power launch, up down quick shifter on this RVE model, which is standard on that, wheelie assist, all sorts of electronics on here. If you are the nutter that this bike is aimed at, you're going to have a lot of fun just dialing this right in for your riding style. Price wise, she is quite pricey. This RVE version with this kind of graffiti style paint job is £12,195. The standard bike comes in at £10,995. Competitors for the bike is the KTM 690 SMCR and the Husqvarna 701, which those two basically are the same bike. They are slightly cheaper, but they don't have anywhere near as much technology as this has. Okay, welcome back. Look, dry road, quick shifter in hand. Oh, you do have to hang on. You really do have to hang on. And yeah, she goes absolutely fine. I think without doubt I can safely say this is the quickest single cylinder bike I've ever ridden. Oh, don't say I don't earn my crust for you, because I'm going to do the lugging about test and it's started to absolutely chuck it down with rain now, and I haven't got my waterproofs with me, so see what I do for you. Anyway, back to the station car park. Let's give you a little clean, and let's very quickly see what it's like to lug around, simulating you moving it around on your drive, and also just checking out what the turning circle is. Now I suspect I know exactly how this is going to perform in this particular test. Right, into the middle of the spot as usual. Find neutral. Crikey, this is tall. There's neutral. Stand, nice and easy to get down, and massive. And the bike goes over a fair way. But anyway, it's all good. Let's kill the engine. Alright then, let's just get on with it before I get too wet. Okay, easy to lift off the stand because it's that lovely light 151. Right, I'm at the line, round we go. Full lock. Let's see where she brings us. And up to there and down. Alright, so middle of that one, on the line of that one. That puts it into a very tight turning circle indeed situation, which I suppose is not a great surprise. And also, even with my dicky shoulder, I don't know if I've mentioned I've got a dodgy shoulder, very, very easy to lift off the side stand and move around. So no worries there, very easy to live with in terms of moving around your garage. Cool, doesn't she look good in that paint scheme? Oh, it's very nice this, you know. I can feel my wallet twitching. Let's take it easy. That front brake is absolutely incredible, but you do have to be ready for a massive pitch down when you apply it. Actually, I just realised I haven't used the rear brake at all. Let's just see what that's like. Actually, the rear brake really good. That's the beauty of it, big touch of light bike. The brakes work fantastically well. I mean, this bike absolutely laden with electronics, as you heard. And one assumes they're just doing their magic in the background. These roads are looking very slippery to me. But I'm feeling quite confident on the bike. Let's hope not overconfident. Now, this is my first ride on the bike, literally, so I'm only just scratching the surface of this. And you'd really need to live with the bike for a few months to properly dial in all the various settings. And if you're a skillful rider, you could examine things like how with the ABS it allows you to just slide the rear a certain amount, or maybe it's not the ABS, perhaps that's the traction control, but you can slide the rear around. It's got this clever wheelie control where you can basically control how much front wheel lift you get. And there's my first white van of the day. Love the sound of this thing, fantastic. Actually, while I'm behind the van, let's have a little look at what we're presented with here in the cockpit. It's nice and simple layout. I mean, it's an expensive bike, I think, but you know, very simple display, just black and white LCD. It's got everything you need, but again, reminds you that you're on a bike that, you know, has its roots in the world of enduro racing. Classic Ducati switchgear, feels nice and high quality. What more to say? Still got these piss pot reservoirs for the clutch and for the brake, front brake, but hey ho, I've seen worse. At least they're not those white ones. Mirrors work a treat. The only thing I suppose that spoils your view slightly, as is the case on so many bikes of this type, is this cabling arrangement here. But it has to be like that to allow for the massive suspension travel. So how does it compare then to the Husqvarna I rode before? Well, I really enjoyed that bike for many of the same reasons, and it was such a long time ago when I rode that, I don't really remember what that felt like, to be honest, so it'd be kind of unfair of me to try and compare. But what I can say is I by far prefer the looks of this, entirely a subjective thing. the fit and finish on it is just beautiful, and it's one of those things that scores really highly on the look back factor. You know, if you had one of these in your garage, you couldn't help yourself but have a little sneaky look back at it as you walked out. I think the looks of it are absolutely top notch, but again, entirely a subjective matter. So on this first ride then, what are my likes and dislikes on the bike? Well, dislikes, I suppose, nothing really. I mean, it's very tall, that is the problem. In fact, let me stop here, put my feet down. Look, can you see? Now that's level, that bike. Look, my feet are tiptoes there. And as I say, I'm 5'8" with a 32-inch leg, so very tall. Luckily, you don't have to put your feet down that much. It's not a problem, it's such a light bike. I've not felt that it's you know, beyond me at any point in that respect, but it is tall, so there's that. If you're shorter than me, you're going to struggle with it. You're going to have to hang off with one bum cheek. Ooh, a bit of a dry road, nice. That really is the only dislike. I thought I wasn't going to like the seat, but actually, you know what, it's absolutely fine for the comfort stakes. I thought it was going to be too vibratey for me, but it's not. If you keep the revs high enough, she's fine. Yeah, she complains a bit if you're in like fourth and you go really slowly, but then it is a single cylinder bike, you know, physics take over at some point. So comfort and smoothness not an issue. I thought they might be. And I suppose the only other thing to not like is the price. It is expensive for what it is. It's purely a toy, just a chaos fun machine. But then if it puts a grin on your face, and it absolutely does put a grin on your face, not least because it's a Ducati and they always have that air of specialness about them, don't they? And this one has that in spades. But this also has great character and a brilliantly playful nature. It's flickable, it's fast, it's light, it looks good. Massive thumbs up from me for the Hypermotard 698 RVE from Ducati. Thank you to Ducati UK for lending it to me. I might have to ask for it back again in the summer. And thank you to you for watching the review. No, I was only just scratching the surface there, but hopefully it's given you a bit of a flavour of what this bike is all about. Right, I'm going to search out some dry roads. I look forward to speaking to you next time. Until then, this has been the Mr. Flyer. Cheerio. Ah, what a machine this is. Now, like all Ducatis, it never sounds like it wants to start. Oh, it will do. But they always sound a little bit, actually it sounded quite lively then, but sometimes they sound a bit dodgy. You'll notice I've gained my 360 camera. Look at the state of it. I had it hanging on the back to try and get some shots of suspension, my feet down, etc. And for safety I put these two clamps on it, and it was still just dangling at the back, so I don't know if I got any shots off that at all. In fact, looking at it, it looks like the edge has been bouncing on a tyre or something, because it's all worn on the edge. Look at that. Goodness me. Luckily, lenses aren't affected. Man, if you're a giraffe, it would really help riding this, because it is tall. Listen to this thing. Loving it.